This one is, well, they say it's the best candidate yet for finding life. So
Okay.
I know, I know, it's super exciting. So this planet is called LHS 1140b,
Okay.
and it's a super Earth,
Uh-huh.
40 light years away.
Okay. So just to be clear, a super Earth is...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have explained.
Yeah.
It just means it's bigger than Earth,
Okay.
but it's not a gas giant.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So it's this rocky planet, bigger than Earth, 40 light years away.
And they think it might have life.
Well, they think it could. So first of all, it's in what's called the Goldilocks zone,
Okay.
which, I think most of our listeners probably know, but just to recap, it means it's the perfect distance from its star to have liquid water.
So not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly. And, as far as we know, liquid water is like pretty essential for life as we know it. But also, we were talking about this before we started recording, but there's that whole thing about, well, do we even know
Right.
if all life needs water?
Yeah.
It could be that out there in the universe, there's all this like crazy life that doesn't need water, and we just haven't even thought about it yet.
Well, I mean, and even on Earth, we're still finding extremophiles
Right.
in the deepest parts of the ocean or in super acidic or volcanic environments.
Totally.
So who knows what's possible?
And they talked about that a bit in the video too, about how we're kind of limited by our own imaginations,
Totally. We can't imagine life that isn't carbon-based or doesn't need water because that's all we know.
Exactly. But so this planet, besides being in the habitable zone,
Right.
it also seems to have, or at least they think it might have, a pretty stable climate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it orbits its star in a nearly circular orbit.
Oh, okay. So it's not swinging in super close and then super far out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, no crazy temperature swings. It's
Right.
just nice and stable.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it's 40 light years away, so
Right. Which is
it's hard to wrap your mind around that distance.
40 years at the speed of light.
Right. It's not like we can just hop in a spaceship and get there.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet.
But it does mean that what we're seeing is 40 years old.
Right.
The light that's reaching us now left that planet 40 years ago.
Exactly.
So who knows what it's like now?
I know. It's just crazy to think about, right? What if in those 40 years, intelligent life evolved?
Oh, yeah?
Or maybe, there was a giant asteroid that wiped out all life. We just don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild. But the fact that we can even learn anything about a planet that far away
Right.
is pretty amazing in itself.
Right. Absolutely. How do they even know what the atmosphere is like?
Right.
Is it possible to even know that?
Well, they're using this cool technique called spectroscopy, which is basically I think of it kind of like a cosmic fingerprint analysis.
Okay, so explain that a little.
Sure. So when light from the star passes through the planet's atmosphere,
Yeah.
different gases absorb different wavelengths of light.
Okay.
And that creates a unique pattern, like a fingerprint.
So you can tell what gases are in the atmosphere by looking at the light.
Yeah, exactly. It's super clever. And then they can look for certain gases that might indicate life,
Like what?
like oxygen or methane.
Hmm.
Or even more complex molecules, but those are harder to detect, I think.
I see.
But yeah, it's like a cosmic detective story.
That's so cool.
I know. And, the fact that they're already finding signs of an atmosphere, even though, again, that data is 40 years old, is pretty remarkable.
Totally. It just makes you wonder what might have changed in that time.
Exactly. So much could have happened. And that kind of leads to, I guess, a bigger conversation about space travel. Even if we find definitive signs of life on LHS 1140b or any other exoplanet for that matter, getting there is a whole other challenge.
Yeah, 40 light years is
It's
a long way.
It's a long way. And right now, we don't have anything even close
Yeah.
to the technology we'd need to travel that far.
And even if we did, it's still
Yeah,
a multi-generational trip.
right.
So, I mean, it's mind-blowing to think about,
Yeah.
What would it take to send humans on a journey like that?
I know. It'd be like, I don't even know. Building a whole self-sustaining ecosystem on a spaceship
Yeah.
and dealing with all the psychological
Yeah, the social, the
and
psychological.
the physical effects of long-duration space travel.
Not to mention, radiation shielding and stuff. That's a huge challenge.
It's a whole other level of complexity. But, it is exciting to think about the possibilities, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, what if someday we could actually travel to other star systems?
I know, it's like something out of a science fiction movie,
But maybe not so far-fetched.
maybe not. And, even if we never make it to another star system,
Yeah.
the pursuit of that goal is pushing us to develop new technologies
Right.
and make new discoveries that could benefit humanity in countless ways.
Totally. Like, who knows what we might learn along the way?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's a pretty exciting time to be following space exploration.
It is, and I'm really curious to hear more about what they found on LHS 1140b.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, what else stood out to you from the video?
Well, they talked a bit about the challenges of detecting exoplanet atmospheres
Oh, right.
and how
Yeah.
scientists are trying to overcome those obstacles.
Yeah, they mentioned this technique called transit spectroscopy, right?
Yes.
Where they basically watch as the planet passes in front of its star.
Right.
But I'm not sure I fully understood how that helps them learn about the atmosphere.
So basically, when the planet passes in front of the star, some of the starlight filters through the planet's atmosphere.
Okay.
And by analyzing how that starlight changes, they can figure out what gases are present in the atmosphere.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they can do with just light.
That's so cool. So they're basically like looking for those telltale signs of life
Right, exactly.
in the atmosphere.
Yeah, like those biosignatures we talked about earlier, oxygen, methane, stuff like that.
It's incredible what we can learn from so far away.
It really is.
But it also makes you realize how much we still don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, even if they find those biosignatures, it doesn't necessarily mean there's intelligent life
Right.
or even, like, complex life as we know it.
It could just be microbes or something,
Exactly.
which would still be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, it's just the beginning of the story.
Totally. And, it makes me wonder, what if we're not even looking for the right things?
What do you mean?
Well, like we said earlier, we're kind of limited by our own imaginations.
Right.
What if life out there is so different from anything we can conceive of that we're
Yeah.
completely missing it?
That's a good point. Like, we're assuming that life needs water
Yeah.
and carbon and all that, but what if it doesn't?
Right. What if there are forms of life out there that are based on, like, silicon or
Yeah.
something completely different that we haven't even thought of?
That would be mind-blowing.
You would completely change our understanding of, like, everything.
Totally.
It's a bit humbling, actually, to think about how much we still don't know.
Definitely, but that's what makes it so exciting.
Oh, for sure. It's the mystery, the unknown, the possibility of discovering something truly groundbreaking.
Exactly. And it makes me even more curious about what the future holds for space exploration. Like, what if someday we could travel to these distant planets and see for ourselves what's out there?
I know. That would be incredible. But for now, I guess we just have to keep looking up at the stars and keep imagining the possibilities.
And keep learning and exploring.
Absolutely. Well, I think this has been a really fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it has.
And it's definitely given me a lot to think about. But before we get too carried away with all these cosmic possibilities, I think it's important to ground ourselves in what we know for sure.
Okay.
So, what were some of the key takeaways from the video about LHS 1140b?
Well, I think the biggest one is that it's a potentially habitable planet,
Right.
relatively close to Earth,
Yeah,
and that makes it a prime target for further study.
totally. And the fact that they're already learning about its atmosphere
Right.
is pretty amazing in itself.
It is. And it just makes you wonder what else we might discover about this planet in the years to come.
I know, it's like a whole new world waiting to be explored.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be able to send a probe there or even a manned mission.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But even if that's a long way off, the fact that we're even having this conversation is a testament how far we've come in our understanding of the universe.
Totally. Like just a few decades ago, we didn't even know if exoplanets existed.
Right.
And now we're finding potentially habitable worlds.
It's crazy to think about.
It really is.
But it also makes you realize how much more there is to learn and discover.
Oh yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time to be alive.
It is. I can't wait to see what the future holds for space exploration.
Me too. And who knows, maybe someday we'll even find evidence of life beyond Earth.
That would be incredible.
That would change everything. But even if we don't, the search itself is worth it.
Absolutely.
Because it's pushing us to ask the big questions.
Yeah.
And to explore the unknown.
And to expand our understanding of our place in the universe.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a great note to end on.
It is. Thanks for having me on the show. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for coming. It was great to chat with you about all this. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more explorations of the cosmos. Until then, Keep looking up.
Keep looking up.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Woohoo.
Okay, so we left off talking about the immensity of space travel and the technology we'd need to actually get to LHS 1140b.
Yeah, I mean, that's still science fiction territory, right?
Yeah.
Traveling 40 light years.
It seems like it. But they talked in the video about, like, the need to solve the riddles of space travel before we even attempt something like that.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's not just about getting there, right? It's about surviving the journey and arriving safely and all that.
Right. Like, what are some of the things that we would need to figure out?
Well, first of all, speed. Right now, with our current technology, it would take, like, thousands of years to get there.
Thousands.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we need some kind of major breakthrough in propulsion technology.
Okay, so like faster than light travel? Warp drive or something like that?
Well, that's the dream, isn't it? But realistically, we're probably talking about something like fusion propulsion.
Okay.
Which could theoretically get us to a significant fraction of the speed of light.
Still pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely much faster than anything we have now. But even then, we're still talking about a journey that would take decades, at least.
Wow. So it wouldn't just be like hopping on a plane.
No, not at all. It would be like generations of humans living and dying on this spaceship before they even reach their destination.
So then we'd need to think about life support, right? Like how to keep people alive and healthy for that long in space.
Exactly. We'd need closed-loop systems that could recycle air, water, and waste.
Kind of like a miniature Earth contained on a spaceship.
Yeah, pretty much. And then there's the issue of radiation.
Oh, right. Yeah. Space is a pretty harsh environment.
It is. We'd need to develop some seriously advanced shielding to protect the crew from cosmic rays and solar flares.
And then there's the psychological impact of being cooped up in a spaceship for that long.
Oh yeah, definitely. They'd need ways to stay mentally and emotionally healthy. Like imagine the social dynamics of living with the same group of people for decades.
I can't even imagine. It would be like a whole new society evolving on board the spaceship.
Right. And who knows what kind of cultural shifts would happen over generations.
It's mind-blowing, really. But, okay, let's say we solve all these problems. We develop the technology, we figure out life support, we deal with the psychological and social challenges. We finally get to LHS 1140b.
Yeah.
What do we find?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Based on what we know so far, it seems like a promising place.
Right, the Goldilocks zone, potential for liquid water, maybe even an atmosphere we can breathe.
Right. But it's still a complete unknown. It could be a lush paradise, or it could be a barren wasteland, or something in between.
It's crazy how little we actually know.
It is. I mean, we're talking about a planet that's trillions of miles away. Yeah. We've never even seen a real picture of it, just an artist's impression.
So what's the next step? How do we learn more about LHS 1140b and other potentially habitable planets?
Well, we need to keep investing in space exploration and research. We need better telescopes, more advanced instruments, and more missions dedicated to studying exoplanets.
And we need to be open to the possibility that life might exist in forms we haven't even imagined yet.
Right. We can't just assume that alien life will be like us. It could be something completely different, something that challenges our whole understanding of what life is.
I like the way the video put it. They said we need to expand our definition of life itself.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We need to be willing to be surprised, to have our minds blown.
And maybe, just maybe, we'll discover that we're not alone in the universe.
That would be pretty incredible, wouldn't it?
It would be one of the biggest discoveries in human history. But even if we don't find alien life, the search itself is pushing us to ask the big questions, to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of what's possible.
I agree. And it's bringing us together as a species. I mean, space exploration is a global endeavor, right?
Yeah.
It requires collaboration and cooperation from scientists and engineers all over the world.
That's true. And it has the potential to inspire the next generation, to show them what we're capable of achieving when we work together.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. Space exploration isn't just about science and technology. It's about our future as a species.
I love that. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's safe to say that there's a lot to be hopeful about when it comes to space exploration.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're living in an incredible time, a time of unprecedented discovery.
And who knows what amazing things we'll find out there in the vast expanse of the cosmos.
The possibilities are endless.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back in a bit to continue our exploration of this fascinating topic.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into LHS 1140b.
Yeah, we've talked about everything from the planet's potential for life to the challenges of interstellar travel to the ethical implications of colonizing other worlds. It's been a pretty mind-blowing conversation. But before we wrap things up, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier. The fact that the light we're seeing from LHS 1140b is 40 years old.
Right. That whole time delay thing.
Yeah. It's kind of a trippy thought, right? Like, we're looking at a snapshot of the past, and the present reality of LHS 1140b could be vastly different.
It really makes you wonder what might have happened on that planet in the last 40 years. I mean, think about how much has changed here on Earth in that time.
It's crazy to think about, like, what if life emerged on LHS 1140b in those 40 years? Or what if there was some kind of catastrophic event that wiped out all life?
Or maybe they've developed advanced technology and are now sending signals out into space.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what future observations reveal.
Exactly. And that's one of the most exciting things about space exploration. There's always more to learn, always new mysteries to uncover.
It's a never-ending journey of discovery.
And it's a journey that we're all on together as a species.
That's a great point. Space exploration is something that transcends national boundaries and cultural differences. It's something that unites us in a common goal to understand our place in the universe.
And it's a goal that's worth striving for, no matter how challenging it may seem.
I couldn't agree more. So to all our listeners out there, keep looking up at the stars, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring the possibilities of what might be out there.
The universe is vast and full of wonder, and who knows what incredible discoveries await us in the years to come.
And that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us on this cosmic adventure. Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Thank you for listening to Final Frontier News. Please stay tuned for more podcasts and more talk about all kinds of crazy cool things. We hope you subscribe. We want you to leave comments. We definitely need the likes, and we look forward to hearing from you in the next video.